I would like to welcome you to today's expert mini briefing webinar, Collaborative Business Models in Outsourcing, Selecting the Right Strategy. My name is David Goodstein and I am a webinar coordinator for the Outsourcing Institute, and it is our pleasure to be the co-host of today's event with Andrey Petrov. Before we commence today's session, I would like to say a few brief words about the Outsourcing Institute, in case you are not familiar with us. The Outsourcing Institute is a professional organization dedicated to providing independent best practice tools, roadshow events, and networking opportunities for all forms of outsourcing. Located at outsourcing.com, we have 70,000 members globally. We specialize in providing low-cost and no-cost alternatives for outsourcing buyers in need of RFP tools, vendor selection assistance, training, as well as general support and coaching. For those of you who are in market for space, we offer an array of very targeted sponsorship promotional opportunities. Our sister company, CMS, provides recruiting services for those seeking to hire outsourced professionals experienced at buying, selling, managing, and consulting in this arena. Our contact information is at the bottom of the screen for those who have any questions. Without any further ado, I will turn it over to our host, Andrey Petrov, to introduce himself, and then we'll begin the presentation. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, David. Now, hello to all the panelists today. My name is Andrey Petrov. I would like to start by introducing myself. I work as a freelance consultant primarily in Eastern Europe. I have worked with many companies within the outsourcing industry in the region, including Hewlett-Packard and some of the leading business process outsourcing providers in Bulgaria. Currently, I also am heading a project which is called SIONA, the Southeast European Outsourcing Association, which has the aim to assist companies when they decide to outsource certain activities in the region and to promote the region also as an outsourcing destination. Today we are going to speak about the different types of outsourcing models that you can apply when selecting your outsourcing strategy. So if we could move on with the first slide. This will be an overview of the topics that we'll touch on today. First of all, we will discuss the collaborative business strategies in outsourcing that are applicable and are very useful when selecting your provider and also when designing your outsourcing strategy. The second things that we'll touch on will be the strategic relationship and the importance of it when selecting your outsourcing providers and partners. And in the end, we'll touch also on the importance of corporate governance. Now, let's first start with the first slide. This slide will show an overview of the internal analysis. This is a very important step when choosing your outsourcing strategy because it allows you to have a broader look on your processes and will help you find which way to choose on concerning the outsourcing strategy. You first have to start with the composition of processes. This is a very important step because it will give you an opportunity to make evaluation of the processes, to show you how much this process is worth to the company when being insourced, and how much it will give you the opportunity to have a look on how much it will cost you when you outsource the different projects to an external provider. Then you have to follow with the segmentation analysis of the processes in your company before you create the sourcing strategy. This will give you a broader picture on what you face as challenges when you have these processes in your organization. And in the end, you will finish with the outsourcing decision, how you're going to outsource, in, out, or use multi-sourcing as a decision. If we can move on to the next slide. First, we'll show you the first sourcing model, that is the lead supplier model. The lead supplier model is actually presenting itself as a continuation of the traditional outsourcing models and practices. It is when you select one supplier to be responsible for all your activities. This supplier may also start working with subcontractors to be able to provide you with the services that you have required them to do for you, and also engages you in a constant cooperation and coordination between you and the outsourcing supplier. It allows you to have a better control over their activity, but it also restricts you in a certain way because, for example, this lead supplier may only be proficient and have expertise in one area of business, whereas you would need a more complex supplier which should be able to give you much more options for outsourcing. Can we move on to the next slide? The next slide shows you the multi-sourcing model strategies. This is the collaborative and partnering model. It is a very efficient model because it allows you to select several different suppliers for your processes. For example, instead of giving all the activity to one supplier, here you can choose 4 or 5 different strategic partners. And it also allows you to partner with them and set the different priorities in a more efficient way. First of all, you will set clear parameters and roles and responsibilities with the different suppliers, which will allow you to actually better control their activity. This model also allows for creating a very healthy competition between the different suppliers, and this competitive milieu allows them all to actually perform in a much more better and efficient way. And when these suppliers use different sub-suppliers for specific activities, this also gives them a very special way to actually be more flexible and provide more services to you. This model also allows for cooperation and exchange of knowledge between the different suppliers because, as you know, all kinds of suppliers are on the market, but it's absolutely difficult to choose the correct one. Every supplier has a different kinds of expertise in outsourcing, and sometimes it's pretty difficult to actually give them just one whole process to take care of. They may be proficient in IT support, but they may lack good knowledge in terms of IT systems, where you could just give the other part of the process to this different supplier with the right type of skill set and also expertise. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Then we will look on this slide, which shows you a nice graph which is supported by Gartner. It shows the buying organization and the BPO provider. It's a very how to say, organism that works in cooperation with each and every part of it. It's actually a symbiosis between the buyer and the BPO provider, because in the long run, all the relationships are based on honesty, trust, transparency. It also is based on collaborative decision concerning the common interests, and collaborative management models are the ones that should be used when dealing with an outsourcing provider, because it allows you to treat them as a partner rather than a sub-supplier. It is also very important to make a right approach when dealing with a supplier to actually mitigate all the risks associated with outsourcing. And now we'll have a look at the 7 steps which are essential for the successful sourcing strategy of a company. First of all, we need to identify the company's needs and the needs of its customers in order to make sure that outsourcing a certain process will have a positive impact on the overall organization and the customers of a company. I can give an example as a company in Bulgaria which decided to outsource a lot of its services, especially the customer support, to an external organization, and based on this relationship, unfortunately, didn't work out okay, because the customers were very unhappy with the provision of this customer support center service, due to the fact that the external supplier had employees who did not actually know the needs of the customers of this client. They were approaching the different issues that the customers faced in a very inefficient manner. Before the transaction had been executed, the buyer of the outsourcing service did not approach this transaction in a structured manner. They did not give the information that was needed to the supplier and the provider of the service, and it was not functioning very well for them due to the fact that the needs of the customers were not understood by the supplier. Then you have to carry out a SWOT analysis to actually evaluate the risks the company would be exposed to when outsourcing a certain project to an external provider, due to the fact that every transaction has different kinds of risks associated with it. One of them is also the fact that there will be case-sensitive information being disclosed to the partners. So the SWOT analysis is a really important step here. Setting out also carefully the different multi-sourcing outsourcing partners through an extensive research. You have to make a research in order to select the proper provider for you, because the market is overly populated. There are all kinds of regions, including Eastern Europe, India, South America, but it really has to be carried out very extensively in order to make sure that you select the proper provider for you, meeting your needs and the needs of your customers. Once the suppliers are selected, you have to choose the right outsourcing model that works best for your company, be it nearshoring, multi-sourcing, or offshoring. You have to begin talks and discussions with your outsourcing partners in order to clarify the processes and the procedures, as well as backup recovery plans and business continuity plans that are absolutely essential for the successful and smooth operations of your company. You have to select very strict SLAs and set clear KPIs in order to have an evaluation system for your return on investment. Finally, you have to evaluate carefully your expenditures on the outsourcing partnerships that you're having. And we can move on to the next slide. The next slide will touch on the importance of corporate governance. The corporate governance within a company is of utmost importance because it's focusing you on the outcomes, not exactly on the transactions. When you have already selected your outsourcing partner, it is absolutely essential that you set up a corporate governance procedure with them. You have to focus on the what, not the how. So it's absolutely essential that these parameters are clearly set with your outsourcing provider in order to make sure that the partnership will work in your favor and will not expose you to any kinds of risks. You have to agree on clearly defined and measurable outcomes with your provider, because this will ensure that all the requirements that you have set with them are met. You have to optimize your pricing models and incentives in order to set out the cost and service trade-offs. You also have to have the governance structure that provides you insight, not just a merely oversight of things. And now we'll move on to the next subject of our discussion today, which is the insight. Now, outsourcing, if made efficiently and strategically right, can be of absolute advantage to a company, and it should be executed absolutely according to a certain plan and in a very efficient manner. If executed poorly, it would lead to a disaster for the company and loss of additional revenue, of costs, and even the worst customers. A company can be compared sort of to a living organism. If you take one part of it that has been functioning really well and replace it with a new, let's say, the outside company that you give your process to is an external organism to yours, the new part may be easily rejected by the internal part of your company, like an external organ, if it's not clearly defined what they should do, how they should do it, and to what extent this relationship works in an effective manner. It is also important to make sound outsourcing decisions on a high level, analyzing the company's needs and priorities. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Now, I would like to thank you for joining in our conversation today on collaborative business models in outsourcing. I would like to wish everybody on the panelists' participation list today a very wonderful day and successful business practices in the future.